Sometimes in this simulation we call life, you have to lose to gain visibility. Oftentimes we see loss as a negative, but sometimes loss is actually a positive. Whatever has been taken away from you, whatever you've lost, wherever you failed, the Most High was trying to teach you and give you visibility to see where you're messing up. Because usually loss is a compound effect over time. When you lose at something, when you fail at something, when you keep failing to get an end result, it's because whatever process you're doing is not working in that moment. It's not working, and you need to make adjustments to your game. You need to make adjustment to your approach of however it is you're going about things, whether it be in fitness, whether it be in business, whether it be with women. Loss is an indicator that you're fucking up. you know Now, major losses such as losing your wife, as in she leaves you, your girl, she leaves you, or the business crashes and fails. Oftentimes it's a reflection that we're not really who we think we are. We're not as disciplined as we think we are. And these moments have been building up for at least the past 6 months. I heard it from a brother. Whoever said it, could type it in the comments. But it was a great quote. And he said, most times things compound over 6 months. If you lose something, you haven't been losing it for just in that moment. You've been losing it over the past 6 months, but you haven't been maintaining it. Oftentimes, when you even reach an end result, the hard part is never getting to the end result. It's maintaining that end result. It's keeping that end result at that level, at that high level. If you become a great basketball shooter, right, and you're now a great scorer, and now you're scoring 20 to 25 points a game, the challenge isn't doing it once, it's maintaining it and being consistent and dominant over time. So sometimes we're able to maintain this dominance, we're able to stay consistent with this dominance, but we get so mundane with a process, right? We get so complacent that even though we've gotten to our end result, even though we got into that end goal, we lose sight of what it took to get there. We forget the journey, and we forget all the hardship. One moment I'm always reflecting on is when, well, the day that I lost the life I desired, right? And the reason I reflect so heavily on this day was because the loss was so major. I realized that I was making so many mistakes months prior to the big loss that it allows me to reflect and make adjustments, and even fear, not fear of it happening again, but staying diligent and staying disciplined to not go through that again. Because pain is the greatest teacher. Suffering is a great teacher. And to suffer the way I did, and the pain that I had to go through, loss will give you visibility though. Because once I lost that life, I seen it clearly. I gained clarity. So loss will really give you clarity. It'll give you visibility to see outside of yourself, to see, damn, I'm not who I thought I was. Damn, there's too much excess in my life, right? The excess in my life was all the weight that I had put on, all the people around me that I was allowing to steer me away from my God, my mission, my overall journey to greatness. With that loss, it allowed me to say to myself, shit, you ain't shit. And that's a hard thing to fucking, accept. I wasn't shit. I had the end results, the business, the woman. I had grace and mercy from the Lord, and I was moving in a way where I was so confident. Confidence was just leaking out of my presence, and losing all of it made me realize how superficial I was, because I thought of myself as a spiritual man who was different, who understood the world differently, which I am, but I wasn't on the level that I am now. My shoulders were not big enough to carry the weight that I was carrying. Now I believe I am. And it's crazy how even a year and a half later, I'm constantly reflecting. So I want to go ahead and talk about another point, because I know I bring it up in this channel often. Loss, losing, failing gives you visibility, and so do plateaus. The reason I grew my hair out long in the first place was because I made I made a vow to myself that I would grow out my hair, and once I get abs, and this doesn't have to be like straight popping out, but just so I could see them or other people could see them in certain lightings, that I would cut my hair. Well, about 3 months ago in June, when I started this channel, I told myself, okay, you have until fucking September, because you've been plateaued for too long. You've been plateaued for way too long. I was 180 hitting September of last year. I was still 180 at June. So obviously, I was plateaued for a reason. Yes, I had to put on size. I had to put on a lot of muscle. And I had to put on size. I had to put on muscle. But had I lost it back then and not now, I wouldn't have been able to maintain it. I was still undisciplined. I was still allowing little things to shake me up. So I would lean into comfort foods such as sugar coffees, cereal at night, almond butter sandwiches when I didn't need to. I would lean into those type of things. Excess. I had too much excess, and it reflected in my body. Yeah, I had already lost, you know, 40 pounds at that point, probably 50 pounds, 230 to 180. But I thought I was doing great. And it wasn't until I lost all the fat up into where I am right now, 180 to 170, that I realized I was still full of shit. I was doing, I was working out the way I should, but I wasn't eating the way I should. And it wasn't until I lost the fat, I cut the excess, that I gained visibility, that even back then, I was still letting my emotions get to me, my emotions control me, which would derail me from losing the weight, because I was so emotional that I would justify me eating all those extra foods because of my emotions. Rather, now I had to tell myself, to get to where I am now, I had to tell myself, look, you're eating all this extra shit and you think you're so delusional. You think you could actually get to the weight you want to the body that you want to, by continually eating excessively. I was full of shit. So I had to cut out the extra stuff. And honestly, it was the best thing that has happened to me so far lately within this fitness journey. To be able to have control over my body, have control over my mind, to tell myself no and deny myself. It brings a different pleasure. And to focus on eating real food. I'm at a point where I don't eat fast food. I don't eat processed food. I don't even crave them. I don't crave chips. I don't crave junk. I just eat homemade food, eggs, beef patties, steak with berries for dinner. It's simple. It's so simple. But 3 months ago, I had a battle. I had to tell myself, bro, you keep justifying all these fucking comfort foods because you can't control your fucking emotions, and you tell yourself you deserve it. You don't deserve it. You know what you deserve? You deserve the discipline gain that you would get if you fucking kept yourself under control. All the fat, all the excess you would lose. Losing, cutting, it gives you visibility, it gives you clarity. Fitness is really spiritual. It really is. Because each level that you hit, it's a representation of your mind. During that time, I also had to cut out extra thoughts, things that were affecting me that I didn't know were affecting me, negative self talk, worrying, because worrying is a habit, overthinking, because overthinking is a habit. These were things that were plaguing me, that were causing me to crash out, causing me to be in my emotions. This was excess. And as I've cut fat, my mind has become clearer and clearer. But it's also because the Most High has put it in my mind and put it in my spirit. Bro, if you have all this faith, be still and know that I am God, which is Psalm 46 and 10. Be still and know I am God. Like, why are you crashing out? You have all this faith, supposedly. Why are you crashing out? Why are you worried about, you know, having more money, which is a problem that I had in the business? Why are you worried about women, which is a problem that I was having? Women kept rejecting me. Why are you worried about not losing weight? You're going to get there. You're putting in the work. Things like that where I would overthink. And not only that, I also had to cut out excess unresolved issues. The heartbreak affected me so heavily. It affected my self-image, not because of the woman, but because I betrayed myself. And I couldn't forgive myself for a long time. I couldn't forgive that I betrayed my own word, that I traded my identity for a relationship, that I didn't give myself love. I didn't give myself attention that I needed. I ignored myself. And that huge betrayal, I had to cut it out. I had to come to terms with it and accept it so I could get to the level that I am now.
Dude, I cannot. All your lessons are not like. You're even Jesse and everything.
So I want you to look and reflect on your life and see where you have lost something and it's given you clarity, it's given you visibility. I want you to reflect. This channel is all about reflection, introspection, me talking to the cameras, me expressing myself and reflecting to you guys and sharing my reflections. So my final message is within loss is given visibility, within loss is given clarity. Cut the excess fat.